Hey everyone, good morning. Today is December 2nd. My name is Naiva Flory, and I am so proud to be here with you all. I have been a part of the Million Mom movement since I first started Purium 8 years ago, but I've been a part of this council for about 3.5 years. And I'm extremely proud to be able to represent this activism arm of Purium along with my beautiful council with Michelle Ricci, Carmela Velarde, and Tars Pereira. And together, we come together weekly to present to you incredible topics that are really valuable for everyday life and things that you might even want to be sharing with your community. So thank you so much for joining us. And today's topic is glyphosate, healthy gut, happy holidays. And we really want to address this issue because we find that glyphosate is everywhere. We're inundated with this toxic chemical in our food, in our water, in our air, on our lawns, all around us. And so many of us still don't know the detrimental effects of this toxic chemical. And so I want to share some things with you today. I grew up on the island of Hawaii, which most of you see it as this paradise in the middle of the ocean, which it is. But it's also somewhere where we don't have the traditional 4 seasons, right? We don't have a harsh winter. It's really summer all year long here. But because of that, Monsanto chose Hawaii as a place to create their hybrid seeds. So anybody that knows about creating a hybrid seed, it takes 7 generations that you plant the seed, harvest it, replant it, and you continue that progress of creating that hybrid seed that will be genetically modified. And so if you did that in Nebraska, it would take you 7 years because you only have 1 season per year that you can grow corn and soy and wheat and all of these things that are genetically modified. In Hawaii, you can do that in under 2 years because you can replant every 3 months. You can replant the next hybrid seed and keep that process going. And you can get 7 generations of seed crop in less than 2 years. So sadly, Hawaii has been polluted with this chemical. The land, the soil, the water, so much of the coral reefs are dying here because of this glyphosate that has been sprayed on so many foods. And so the islands here have been going to battle with the courts to try to ban Monsanto from growing their seed crops here. And it's been a long battle. It's been 15, 20 years that they're trying to fight this. And it's been a long road, but slowly we have banned Monsanto from being here. And sadly, they just create a subsidiary. And now we have Corteva in our backyard, which is basically Monsanto's baby or whatever, just a subsidiary of Monsanto. They still grow their seed crops. They still do all the same things under a different name. So that's a little bit about me and my background and Hawaii and what we're going to be talking about today. But before I go any further, I would like to go ahead and bring my dear friend Michelle Ricci on to share a little bit about in the news with us, what's happening right now with this toxic chemical in our environment. So Michelle, over to you.
Thanks so much, Naiva. Let me see, make sure I'm pulling up the right screen here. Again, another week where it was extremely difficult to decide what to talk about. And there's 2 things. Initiative 522 that was up in Washington in 2013 and how it was struck down. And then secondly, what's going on in Mexico right now. So oops, let me make sure I got the right screen up. This is not it. So there was a ballot initiative up in, gosh, my apologies. Everything's going haywire here. Give me 1 second, guys. Zoom is quitting on me. Okay. Hold on. Ah!
We can't see your shared screen, but maybe you could read it and share the link with us.
Yeah. So
Did we lose Michelle?
We may have, yes.
I see her still on, but I don't see her camera on.
Yes, I see her. There we go.
am I sharing anything right now, guys?
Are you able to share the screen? We were just seeing a black screen, so I wasn't sure if maybe.
Try it one more time.
Thanks for your patience, everyone. This is a super amazing topic, and we just want to bring some in the news to you that are really forefront. Here it is. Thanks, Michelle.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, great. Thank you so much. There's two pieces that I want to talk about. This one is the banning of Mexico GMOs, which is GMOs in Mexico for the corn. I mean, they have so many species of corn in Mexico, and really what was happening with Monsanto taking over was threatening all of that. And so they managed to organize 300, they managed to organize over 300 organizations work together to ban glyphosate, which is taking place, I believe, in 2024 in Mexico. So it really is going to protect all of these heirloom grains, all of these heirloom seeds for their corn. What I thought was interesting upon further digging around is that they're concerned about there's no other choice for pesticide control, and that's why they're waiting until 2024. But it's changing the food prices and just what the country is going through in banning this. What are their alternatives and what's going to happen? So there's a lot of talk around what is happening in Mexico, but this is a huge step. Now, does it mean that other pesticides aren't going to be used? Probably not. So there's a lot of conversation going on around it, but to have a whole country ban glyphosate and ban GMOs and ban Monsanto and Roundup in their country is pretty huge. You know, we wish that we could have that here, right? There was actually a, and I'm just switching gears here now to this other article, there was an initiative on the ballot called 522 in 2013, and it was shot down. Washington residents actually voted against the labeling, but I believe it had a lot to do with the lobbying and the Food and the Grocers Association contributing about $12 million to anti-labeling laws. And so Washington State actually sued the lobbyists over this and won. Now, I'm going to post after this piece, I'll post all of these things in the comments, but this is the summary of Initiative 522. It was a pretty big deal. And what I thought was interesting about it is Dr. Bronner's soap company was the largest donor to adding these labeling laws at around 1 million. But the largest donation in opposition was 7.2 million, and that's actually shown to be about 12. Came from the Grocers Manufacturing Association. This is the Grocers Association. This is Safeway. This is, but more importantly, the biggest brand name that represents the Grocers Association is Trader Joe's. And so I did want to bring that to everyone's attention because I don't think that people realize that Trader Joe's is the Grocers Association and the nature of their business. They're allowed to say natural, they're allowed to say organic with the USDA stamp, but they're also allowed to say all of our stuff is non-GMO without labeling it or going through the criteria. So I think it's a false sense of security for a lot of people because they go to Trader Joe's, they think it's organic and it's great. But remember, most of their organic stuff is wrapped in plastic and they don't have to label. They are quite literally the Grocers Association as a grocery store and have found a way around all of the labeling laws that were even in place up until now. So just remember, we're voting with our dollars. So when you spend your money, spend it with organizations that are that do contribute, like Nature's Grocers or Whole Foods, to more ethical practices. What ended up happening is that out of that lawsuit, the Grocers Association had to pay $18 million for laundering campaign money. So it just shows you how deep the rabbit hole goes. And I found that, I went down the rabbit hole and finding how it's all connected. We have the Grocers Association in the Senate. We have a revolving door when it comes to the pharmaceutical industry and the Grocers Association. And so, just having this be in your bonnet when you're shopping, when you're, using your dollar is important. So they laundered money for these politicians through the Grocers Association, and that's how they managed to beat and defeat the Washington State Initiative 522. So really eye-opening piece, and I will post all of these links in the comments. So if you want to flesh this out a little further, there's a lot to look at, but just remember, there's a lot of greenwashing out there. There's a lot of companies that are really fighting to be non-transparent. And they're spending a lot of money with the government so that they can continue to be non-transparent, so that we can just go about the day feeling a false sense of security. So it's up to us. That's what the Million Mom Movement's all about. That's why we're here doing this work. And that's what I have for our pieces today and what's in the news. So thanks, back to you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. So much great information. And what I wanted to point out is on that article for the Grocers Association at the bottom, those people that voted against that were Monsanto, DuPont, Dow Pioneer, and Bayer. And those are who we're up against. They are all part of this chemical company that is polluting our food and that is pushing, for disclosure basically of what is in our food. And that's something that's really scary because they have that buying power. They have that money that they can invest to, basically not let us know what is in our food. So really great article that you shared. Are you sharing it again?
I'm just showing the donors. I think that's what you were just covering, but there's other ways to find that too. So I'll make sure to put all of these links in the comments. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, and it's right here at the bottom of the page, at the bottom of that page that you were just sharing. So Michelle's going to share those links in the comments, and if you'll please also share those into the Million Mom Movement official so that we can find them there after this call is over, that would be wonderful. And I'm going to go ahead and share a couple things myself because I have some really, we've been talking a lot about, we do the call to action weekly with glyphosate. The first article in 2016 was glyphosate unsafe on any plate. And then more recently, they came out with the article that was glyphosate, the poison in our daily bread. So there's a couple articles. So I'm actually going to be sharing from these articles because I do feel like they are very pertinent and I want you to have access to this information. I don't want it to just be me sharing information. I want you to be able to have this information, read this information, share it with others, and become as passionate as I am about it because this is in my backyard. It affects us every day. These chemicals are sprayed around schools. We have a school right next door to where these big corn farms are, where they're creating this hybrid seed for the rest of North America. And it's very scary. So that's what's happening out here. And this is the article, Glyphosate Unsafe on Any Plate, which came out in 2016. We have done interviews through the Million Mom Movement with David Murphy and Henry Rollins, who are the authors of this article. And so you can go into our replays on YouTube and find those and, get to hear from these gentlemen that are really passionate about this subject as well. So a leading FDA registered food safety testing laboratory was found extremely high levels of pesticides glyphosate in some of America's most popular foods. Glyphosate is the active ingredient in Monsanto's Roundup. It's also the most heavily used chemical weed killer in food and agricultural production in human history as a result of widespread adoption of genetically engineered crops now grown on more than 175 million acres in the United States and more than 440 million acres around the globe. This affects all different places, and we'll go into that in a minute. Now, scientific evidence shows that the probable harm to human health could begin at ultra low levels of glyphosate, e.g. 0.1 parts per billion. So this is something that we're going to talk about later in our call to action, but there are a ton of popular foods tested that have glyphosate in them of above, 0.1 parts per billion, and starting at 289.47 parts per billion and up to the levels of 1,125.3 parts per billion. And I believe that's in the Cheerios. I believe Cheerios are the most toxic, have the most glyphosate in them for all the foods on the board, as far as I know, and I believe that's what that number represents. And so as you go down this article, the testing and analysis was performed by Anresco Laboratories in San Francisco, an FDA registered laboratory that has performed expert food safety testing since 1943. The laboratory found that well-known products tested for glyphosate, original Cheerios, like I just mentioned, for example, measured levels as high as 1,125.3 parts per billion. That is a lot. If you're thinking the safety level is 0.1, that is a lot of parts per billion above the safe level, you guys. This is scary. And as we talk about a lot, Cheerios is something that we feed to our children. I mean, when we go to the store, it says heart healthy. We think it's a good, healthy cereal, right? If we don't know better, then we can't do better. And this is something that we have to let people know because people just don't know. So other high levels of glyphosate were found in familiar products such as Oreos, Doritos, Ritz crackers, among 29 other foods tested. And so currently in the US, regulators allow a very high level of daily glyphosate residue on America's food. The acceptable daily intake, ADI, limit is set to 1.75 milligrams per kilogram of body weight per day. I don't know how you figure that out, but I'm not good at math. So I'm just going to try to stay away from the stuff with glyphosate. That's my method. So new research shows that Roundup causes liver and kidney damage in rats and reflexes changes in the functions of 4,000 genes at only 0.05 per billion. You guys, that's really scary. A lot of people feed their kids Cheerios, Ritz crackers, Oreos, all the things on that list right there, and they don't even know that it's going to cause them health issues later in life. And there's a conversation I had a couple days ago with a young mom that was purchasing foods that I would not purchase for my family, and I had to have the conversation with her that it's quality over quantity. Because she said, well, if I buy this food, I can buy more for my family. And I said, yeah, but you're buying food that is toxic, and in the long run, it's going to cost you money at the doctors. So choose the organic, less toxic options. You might not have as full of a grocery cart, but you'll have more quality products in your cart. So additional studies have found that levels as low as 10 parts per billion can have toxic effects on the livers of fish and cause significant damage to the livers and kidneys of rats at 700 parts per billion, which is an allowable level of glyphosate found in US drinking water, you guys. This is in our drinking water. This is why we all need, good water filtration systems to be adding that water to our superfoods, right? We want to have good water, good superfoods, purity all around. So there's a really great article. I'll be sharing it in the comments. We'll also go into the Million Mom Movement official. These groundbreaking new findings that one of the most iconic cereals in the US contains levels as high as 1,125.3 parts per billion should be a wake-up call for all Americans regarding unacceptable levels of pesticides residues in our nation's food. These findings are especially troubling considering that the latest independent scientific evidence, during which a team of international scientists reevaluated the same data previously used by regulators, calls for a much lower ADI to be set at 0.025 milligrams or kilograms of body weight per day. And so, they're working on it. It's still not good because we want it to be no glyphosate in our food, right? We want to completely eliminate this chemical from being in our food. And the non-GMO label is just not enough. So it's important for individuals and parents to understand that glyphosate contamination cannot be removed by washing, and it's not broken down by cooking or baking. So keep this in mind as you're buying fruits and vegetables and things like that. Always choose organic when possible. Glyphosate residue can remain stable in food for a year or more, even if the food is frozen or processed. So this is really important. It's something I wanted to share with you all because I was like, this is just, we have this information at our fingertips that you can share, right? I could be sharing all about this without reading these articles, but I wanted to get it somewhere where you can duplicate this. I want to share the information so that you can find it and you can share it with others as well. So I just pivoted to the next article, which is from February of this year. And this is the poison in our daily bread, glyphosate contamination widespread in essential food. So this is the second article that was written. You can see above by the Detox Project, which is who certified our Biomedic, which is the only product proven with a third-party testing to remove glyphosate from our body. And we'll get into that in a little bit. So this next article talks a little bit more in depth about the issues with glyphosate, and then we'll get into some of the solutions shortly. So the result of the most comprehensive glyphosate testing of food products ever conducted in the US were released by the Detox Project on Tuesday, and the detailed report is what we use weekly to do our call to action. So we'll go there in a little bit. It shows the true levels of weed killer contamination in the essential foods on some of the top grocery store shelves in the country. The world's most used weed killer, glyphosate, was discovered in a wide range of essential food products, including bread, pulses, grains, and let's see, where am I? I think I'm skipping here. Yeah, including bread, pulses, and grains from the top grocery stores such as Hy-Vee, Whole Foods, Amazon, Walmart, and Target. So glyphosate is the active ingredient in the weed killer Roundup and is a probable human carcinogen according to the WHO's International Agency for Research on Cancer, and has led to the manufacturers of Roundup, Bayer Monsanto, there's their name again, being forced to pay over $10 billion in damages to gardeners, groundskeepers, and farmers who are suffering from blood cancer or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So some of you may have seen the article that came out in 2018 with Dwayne Lee Johnson, who had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And that lawsuit actually launched the day that we launched Biomedic for the first time. And I have to say that cannot be a coincidence. It was like, God came down and gave us the solution for this issue that was now in mainstream news that people are now talking about. And God bless him and his family. But they really brought this to the forefront of bringing it to mainstream news and bringing it to the surface of letting people know that this is a real issue, because before that, nobody had really been talking about it and nobody had brought it to the courts and pressed charges on these big companies. And so, thank God for him that he was able to bring this forward and educate so many others through his experience. And I hope that he's feeling healthier today and that he's doing well. So of all the products tested, a range of whole wheat breads contained the high levels alongside with chickpeas. Quaker oats is a really high one. Almost all Quaker oats, I believe, have high levels of glyphosate. The worst offending products were found at Hy-Vee, Whole Foods Market, Walmart, and other other lower levels being found at natural grocers, which was our call to action a couple weeks ago. And if you remember, their response back to us when we did the call to action was, hey, you know what? We have the least amount of products with glyphosate, and our products have the lowest amount of glyphosate in them. And so I had to kind of give them a thumbs up for really trying and doing their homework and having a really good response for us of like, hey, you know, we're really trying, and we are the ones with the least amount of glyphosate on our store shelves. So, you know, we have to give it up for National Grocers for, they are on that list, but they are the lowest, you know, offender for this topic. So, and what may be a surprising to many consumers, 18 of 26 non-GMO labeled products tested containing glyphosate, including 2 of the highest 5-level discovered 535 parts per billion and 1,040 parts per billion respectively. So they're talking about the non-GMO label, right? So non-GMO label means that this food wasn't a hybrid seed. It wasn't a seed that they created a genetically modified organism out of. So that's all non-GMO means. It's that it's not a genetically modified seed. It doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't sprayed with glyphosate. They still spray things that are non-GMO with glyphosate. So where is the glyphosate coming from, and why is it on non-GMO labeled food? This report shows the damning reality that pre-harvest spraying, desiccation, an off-label use of glyphosate-based weed killer leading to the mass contamination of essential foods that form the base of our diet. So these alarming results also show the Bayer Monsanto scientists and government regulators have long failed to understand or even explore the basic risk and level of exposure from US food supply. Beside wheat, oats, barley, Roundup and other glyphosate-based herbicides are regularly sprayed on more than 70 crops, including almonds, apples, dry edible beans, lentils, chickpeas, garbanzo beans, peas, grapes, rice, and sunflowers. Are the levels of glyphosate discovered in essential foods safe? It is first important to understand how the safe level of any toxic chemical is set. Currently, the US EPA sets the reference dose, which is known as an acceptable daily intake in Europe by taking the lowest no observed adverse effect level from animal studies and divided it by 100. So the big problem is that both the RFD in the US and the ADI in Europe for glyphosate have already been proven to be far too high by independent peer-reviewed studies. That's where the glyphosate, the detox project comes in, right? That's where they come in and test these different brands. So we have all these links here, so you'll be able to go look at these after we get off the call. We'll give you the links, and you'll be able to find all of these in Million Mom Movement Official on Facebook. So if you missed the links here on the call on our Zoom, you can go over into that group and you can dive into all of these different articles if you'd like to, or share them with your community. So I'm not going to share all of the information here because there's so much to cover, but I will give you the links to this so that way you will have access to everything that I've shared today, because I know that it's so valuable and there's so much to learn. And I want to go ahead and go more into the solution side of things, because we know there's a big issue with this, but what we really want to talk about is what is the solution. So I'm going to go a little bit into the solution, and then I'm going to go ahead and pass it along to my council so they can share some things with you as well. So I'm going to share my screen one more time. And I brought up the Biomedic, which is our proprietary blend tested by the Detox Project to remove glyphosate. You see their seal right there? We're the only ones that have this seal that know that our product, we had a 6-week trial. And in that 6-week trial, it was 100 people, all different walks of life, all different dietary, lifestyles. We didn't restrict them on anything. The only thing they changed is taking Biomedic for 6 weeks. And in those 6 weeks, the scientific trials showed that we were able to reduce glyphosate by 74.5%, and we were able to reduce the inflammatory marker in our body by 75%, and that's a C-reactive protein. So GMOs are in 75% of our food, right? that's the problem. Genetically modified food is getting nearly impossible to avoid. Meal after meal, day after day, year after year, we eat compromised food. Breakfast cereals, chips, ice cream, bread, conventional fruits and vegetables. So experts point to an herbicide, a toxic chemical called glyphosate, as a primary problem associated with GMO food. Glyphosate residue can't be washed off or baked out of foods that you buy. So, and this chemical kills living organisms that are not genetically modified organisms, GMOs, including your healthy gut bacteria. Worse yet, the World Health Organization and National Academy of Sciences has identified glyphosate residue as a probable carcinogen to humans. And on July 7th, 2017, the state of California went one step further to declare that glyphosate causes cancer and birth defects, adding it to the Proposition 65 list. So identifications of a compromised microbiome. If you have poor digestion, feeling bloated, foggy head, tired, if you have headaches, joint pain, if you're gaining weight and unable to lose it, these are all signs that you have glyphosate toxicity. And by reducing glyphosate, you'll help your body to reduce those symptoms. So the importance of a healthy microbiome. The microbiome may be the most important part of our body that you've never heard about. It's commonly known as the gut, but scientists also refer it to as our second brain. The microbiome is responsible for 80% of our immune response, plus most nutrient absorption, and cleansing takes place in a healthy microbiome. This means that everything from energy to weight management to digestion to mental clarity can be traced to the health of your microbiome. So how does Biomedic work? Biomedic is an exclusive and proprietary formula of all natural ingredients that helps protect your gut from GMOs and glyphosate. Biomedic is the first ever product to receive a gold standard glyphosate detox certification. And the certification by the Detox Project, who is an organization that aims to help make the health and wellness industry more accountable and honest. The Biomedic goes beyond the non-GMO. It may perhaps be the world's first anti-GMO product. Hallelujah to Purium. So let's give ourselves a little round of applause for being part of this incredible community that the solution to this huge issue that we're facing today. So Biomedic was designed to assist with the following: remove the toxic chemical glyphosate from your microbiome, support the good bacteria to boost your immunity, and then rebuild the gut villi for better nutrient absorption, digestion, and weight loss. So Purium has identified the problem, a compromised microbiome. We identified the cause, a toxic herbicide that is in 75% of the food we eat. And the most important part is we've found the solution, Biomedic. And so this article is found under the Biomedic in our in the iShop Purium, so you can find this article and share it yourself. But I thought it was pertinent to share it with you all today, so that we're not just sharing the problem, but we're also sharing the solution, because we're all about solutions here. This is the other article that you can find under our product, Glyphosate Solution Biomedic. Rid your body of toxins and help repair damage caused by GMOs and harmful food additives with just 2 capsules a day. So again, this talks about the crisis, the solution, and all the things that you need to know, including the products that include Biomedic in it, which is in our Epigenius Kids, Epigenius Dogs, and as our single Biomedic product as well. So just one last thing. So all of these articles are right here, the glyphosate brochure, Biomedic flyer. So all of these things right here, the product fact sheet. If you want to see the scientific trials that I talked about, you can see the full trial report. I know many have asked me for that. So I just want to show you all where to find the resources that I was sharing today. I shared the first, the glyphosate brochure and Biomedic brochure. So I am going to go ahead and pass it to my counsel to go ahead and share. So Taz, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you so much, Naiva. This is an amazing call. I always love whenever I leave, myself included, I leave the Million Mall Movement calls, I always come out so much more enriched, and I have more tools in my toolbox, to share with other people. So Biomedic, is amazing, right? So I have a lot of my patients that I've only added biomedic in their life, and I do testings. You can do testings at the Great Plains Laboratory to see your glyphosate going down and your C-reactive protein goes down. And with that testing that Naiva showed, like within 6 weeks, you see how much it drops. And just by including that one thing, can you believe that? That's huge. And we are being bombarded by glyphosate from the skies, from below, to our grocery stores, everywhere. And I know this is a time that we're going out and we're living, right? I know everyone tells me, they're like, but what are we supposed to do? When you go to a restaurant, how can you ensure it's organic? You can't. It's impossible. It's very rare to find a fully organic restaurant, but that's okay. We're here to bring you solutions. So of course, add biomedic to your life each and every day. And when you have holiday parties, we're showing you solutions that when you go visit a friend, you go to a holiday party, to go to a restaurant, these are tips that you can use every single day. So have your biomedic. Also, I love to include the enzyme advantage. Okay, so sometimes when you have a big meal and you get that acid or low stomach acid, have the enzyme advantage before. And this helps break down your food and you don't end up feeling bloated as well. I know whenever I have that and paired with a biomedic, whenever I go to a restaurant and I know the food is not organic, I don't come out feeling gross. You know that feeling you get and you're like, you automatically regret everything you're eating and you're like, oh, I'm going to be out for like 3 days. I don't feel good. Or you develop a rash on your face or some type of toxicity. So this helps avoid that. So another thing that I love to add. So, we just finished November, which was our diabetes month. We were pairing this with our diabetes, which was the control caps. Well, you know what? Let's continue using that. So the control caps has a couple special things that I love. So there's the nopal cactus. Have you guys ever heard about this? Drop me a 1 in the chat if you heard about this. So they start making these like nopal cactus juices. Well, what is that good for? Okay, hydration, that's great. But there's a lot of other things it's good for. So if you're at a holiday party and there's going to be some type of alcohol drink that you want to indulge in, so don't stress, okay? Because stress leads to so many other diseases, it increases your cortisol. Relax, it's okay. We're here to do the best we can. Have the control cap before, because the nopal cactus, actually, it helps hangovers. So you won't have that the next day. It helps lower cholesterol. It helps with diabetes. It helps with obesity. It's antiviral and it's anti-inflammatory. You'll have 2 of those capsules before you're going to have any big meal, any like fatty meal. So get to the fatty meal, okay? There's something called Garcinia cambogia, okay? And this is a fruit from Asia that helps reduce your appetite. So, we see these plates and we want to indulge. So it helps curb that appetite and it helps block the body from storing fat, which, that's amazing. I take it daily. It does not have to do with weight. It has to do with inflammation, right? So if you're going to have something, that dessert, maybe that second dessert, have this before, okay? And then there's another thing that I like, which is a white kidney extract. And this helps decrease abdominal fat. And what is something we all have to deal with during the holiday months? I know it's always bloating. Doesn't matter what I eat. I could eat the biggest salad ever. And sometimes if they put the wrong oil, I'm bloated for days. So I just have a control cap. And I know I don't have to deal with that. Absolutely. It is from Purium and it's all there and it's super simple. So have the biomedic every day, add the enzyme advantage and add the control caps. So simple, right? We bring all these solutions to you. So I'll pass it to Michelle to share more suggestions.
Thanks so much. Wow, this is totally packed. I love this call and thank you so much. What a great community we have. I'm going to talk just a little bit about gut and stress. We know we have some pretty amazing products, and the council's doing a great job of going over those products. I really just want to talk about how your happy hormones are made in your digestive tract. We've talked about this so much, and it's just this idea that life is hard to digest, or especially when there's the seasonal aspect that comes up. We're switching gears from Thanksgiving. We may have had some interactions on Thanksgiving. We may have had some foods over Thanksgiving. And this is kind of the recovery week where it's almost like, what happened? It could be conversations, it could be food, it could be the place that you visited. And really now it's like, oh my gosh, now it's December, and hasn't this year flown by? All of these thoughts are coming up in our heads, and we end up start rolling right into holiday stress. And that acidity, those conversations that we're having with ourselves, the to-do list that is expansive, the thought of how much extra money we might be spending this holiday season, it's all creates acidosis in the body. It all contributes to stress. You can even hear me as I started listing all those things, how I went faster and got more excited, because it's just really what's happening in our body. And so the idea and the reason why we want to really focus on even just our nutrients and stabilizing is so that we can enter into these conversations, into these events, into our to-do list, and even into some indulging with our food without really wrapping ourselves into a tight ball and losing everything in our digestive tract and stressing ourselves out. And so, I have some favorite products, really. The Epigenius Kids is great alternative if you're grain or gluten-free. Carmela is going to go over one of my favorite alternatives. And then some of our other products really is just about maintaining, if you can maintain the core 5 nutrients in our line, which is the Fab 5. I don't really do the core 4, I do the Fab 5, which is always adding in that immune, because we are deficient in the zinc. We are, as a society, deficient in the C, the A, the D, and the E. And using these 5 together, even if it's just first thing in the morning and then we're off on our day, is going to support that digestive tract. It's going to flood our body with nutrients. It's going to open up those cells to be able to absorb and assimilate the food that we're eating, and just give us a nice, calm digestive tract as we move through this stressful time. So really, if as opposed to picking one product out, I'm always going to recommend the Fab 5 for complete digestive health as a component system, and helping us reduce our stress, stabilize our mood, and just help us calm the digestive and cool the digestive tract down, so that it is directly affecting our hormone production, how we're feeling. It's cooling the brain, and it's just helping us have a calmer approach in our life, and our life becomes easier to digest. So with that, I'll pass it to Camilla.
Awesome, Michelle. Thank you so much. I love this call as well. I'm going to handpick one of the Fab 5 right now, and that's the apothecary. I personally, we're talking about stress in the holidays, and I think this is actually one of the company's favorite product. Whenever people get the ULT or Core 4, they love the apothecary, and they love to share about it in Wine Your Reach. So, but did you know that anthocyanins are also anti-diabetic, anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory? Most people do understand that, but it's also antimicrobial, and it has anti-obesity effects as well. And anything that's red and anthocyanin, the deep reds in fruits and vegetables, they really prevent cardiovascular disease, CVD. And this is why, when we're talking about many of our product line, we have a lot of anthocyanins, but the average American doctor actually only recommends about 3,500 to 4,000 ORAC points, oxygen radical absorbance capacity points, but we have in our recommended dose 7,500 ORAC points. Now that is much greater an amount, and we believe that this is what the average body needs. Did you also know, though, that the most common cancer in females, which is breast cancer, is linked to antioxidant deficiencies? So when you're getting this in the Fab5, in the amount that we're offering you, we are factoring in the amount that we think that Dave Sandoval proposes is the best for us to maintain and prevent. Do other doctors and nutritional advisors say this? Maybe not. So I just really wanted to highlight that today too. And according to PubMed, anthocyanins that are extracted from edible plants like our tart cherry are potential pharmaceutical ingredients. So we're bringing a lot of more clinical information to you, because we know that a lot of people who are going through some of the most sensitive of issues with their bodies, they do need to know and connect this to published medical information. And it also, of course, which we always talk about, is it boosts our body's production of melatonin. And during this really busy holiday season, if you've got children as well and family members who you're cooking and preparing for and traveling to, we need sleep support. I can't emphasize that more. And if you need to up the dosage because maybe you have a headache or migraine or you feel dehydrated, the anthocyanins in the tart cherry, it acts for me and my family, for my children, as well as a natural ibuprofen. So the next one I wanted to point out was we talked about Biomedic at length. Thank you so much, Naiva, for covering that earlier. But if you do have some sensitivity, sometimes people have sensitivity to the wheat germ that's in a very small fraction, you might want to consider using the ionic elements and the Aloe Digest in tandem, because that's in our family pack. And that is what you can replace the Biomedic with these two products. And you're going to get so many more benefits as well on top of it. So I just wanted to highlight the benefits of both of these individual products because they're powerhouses in and of itself. The ionic elements, it has 10 of the most prevalent and most important minerals that our bodies need: magnesium, chloride, sodium, sulfur, potassium, lithium, vanadium, calcium, and boron. But there are also 70 more minerals that are in our trace minerals. When I had first started this company about 8.5 years ago, we were told to drop a couple droppers into every shake, because what does it also do? What are the benefits of minerals? So many things. It turns food into energy. And in many people who have leaky gut symptoms, like I did, because I had a lot of toxic damage and compounding effects of these chemicals, because I had a lot of processed food when I was younger, I needed to heal my gut. So when I found this product line and I saw that it had trace minerals, I said, I need to heal. Well, having this ability to turn food into energy and assist that assimilation process with the ionic elements, you just want this on hand in your cupboard. Strong bones and teeth, that's what minerals do as well. We really need that support, and especially the kids. And it controls bodily fluids inside and outside of cells. So when people ask about what are the benefits of minerals and why should I be taking externally supplementary, well, our soil is depleted. We've talked about this at length with some of our news articles and what they are doing to our GMO crops and just in general, the spraying. We need external supplementation with minerals. Now, when you pair it with Aloe Digest is just yummy. It's delicious. It's something the kids love too. But during the holidays, how many of us all feel a little bit extra bloated, have extra gas and flatulence, have extra feelings of just indigestion? So what I love about our Aloe Digest is its ingredients. It's the polysaccharides in it. So what are polysaccharides? It's very rich in that. Aloe is a really important nature's, miracle product here that we're bringing to you in a really yummy powder, but it's based in organic coconut water. But did you also know that it is immunomodulatory? It helps our immune system modulate. It's also anti-tumor, it's anti-inflammatory, but it's also antimicrobial and antibacterial. And when you combine that with the digestive enzymes, and then you add in the minerals, you really do reduce the bloat. And to be honest, the kids love it too. So it's really nice too when kids have excess, salt or sugars in their diets, because the holidays,
to really just bring in a nice treat for them. I even make like lollipops out of it with the apapa cherry and the aloe digest. You freeze it in a spoon and they lick it and they're super satisfied with that sweet treat. And I think that's really important because they also have the electrolytes as well, which it's very dry here in where I live, not humid. And I think that we need extra electrolytes as well. So I pass the word on.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Carmela. And I'm going to bring Taz back on to share our call to action today.
Thank you so much. So, as a community, we're here to always share solutions, and we're activists, right? So we need to reach out to companies and bring this and let them know that we are alarmed, that we will not, take whatever they're giving for however they're like putting it. We're going to say, no, there's glyphosate and this is unacceptable for ourselves and our family. And we need to be loud with this. And what's the best way to be loud? Online, right? We can reach so many more people online. So this is how we always like to end our calls with, what can you do? Because we hear this all the time. People are telling us, well, we love this. We love your call to action. We love your motivations and your solutions. But how can we go out to companies and have them stop having these products? Well, we have the Detox Project that they list all of the companies and the level of glyphosate in each and every product. So today we are going through the pinto beans, right? It's 34 and 35. We're going to be talking about the pinto, the 36, the oat walnut grain, right? And the oat, the steel cut oats, right? That's the one we're talking about? Yes? Is it pinto beans?
Yeah,
Sorry,
the two
I
Target
muted
ones.
myself.
Thing.
The
Yeah.
Target, the two from Target. So 34 and 36. You were right on point.
That's what I thought. Okay, perfect. So we're talking about the pinto beans from Target. So a lot of times people are like, yeah, but I'm eating beans. Beans are supposed to be healthy for you. And they are, but not all beans are the same. And this one has a high amount of glyphosate. So what we recommend to you is to go to Target and to write in their comments that, have you found out that in the Detox Project, there is a high amount of glyphosate in your pinto beans? Are you looking to do anything about that? Right? Bring the awareness to them. Because you know what? Other people are going to be scrolling through their messages, and maybe this is going to signal alarm to them. I should go investigate what's happening with our pinto beans. Yes, you have to avoid Target and a lot of other companies that we go through every single week, because there's a lot of companies that okay. And our second one is the 36. So the oat nut whole grain bread. Okay. So this as well, right? You think whole grains and you think, okay, this is a better alternative than a white bread, but it has another high amount of glyphosate. So as well, ask them about the pinto beans and then ask them about their oat bread. Bring this to their attention and ask them, are you willing to do something about this? Because I'm a concerned mom and a concerned consumer. And the more we are vocal about this, now we are making the change. So I would love to open it up to all of you who would love to read the pledge, our pledge that is so near to our hearts.
You can go into reactions and raise your hand, or just say so in the comments. It's fine too.
If not, I get to pick someone at random, which is my favorite. So let's see.
I'd love to call on someone if you don't mind, Michelle.
Okay, go for it, Carmela.
Sierra. I see you, girl. I'd love for you to share. You basically just go ahead and read what's on the screen there. Let's unmute her. Oh, I just asked you to unmute.
I'm so sorry. Hi, everybody. Okay. I pledge to defend the health of myself and my family. I pledge to choose organic foods that are minimally processed and free of man-made ingredients. I pledge to read labels and educate myself on all aspects of clean living. I understand that my actions today will positively impact my health and environment of future generations. I am committed to sharing this movement of many. I am the Million Mom movement. I can't see the bottom. Yes. Okay.
Yes,
Amen.
got it.
Amen.
So much,
Mhm.
Sarah. So nice to hear your voice today. She's actually a scholarship applicant, so I wanted to bring her on for the Million Mom movement. So thank you so much for sharing your voice, and I can't wait for you to be, integrated into our community fully.
I'm so thrilled for this. Thank you. Mwah. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for doing that. That was wonderful. I always love hearing new people sharing the pledge. That's something that we just started doing recently. And I love just hearing different ones of you in the community sharing the pledge back with us. So if you were a guest here today on this call and you were invited by a friend, they hand selected you because they wanted to share this pertinent information with you. And so please reach back out to them and let them know the value that you got from this Zoom today, and they can help you to get started with the biomedic or whatever the next best step is for you. And please join us back here next Friday. Our topic next Friday is enhance your holiday glow naturally. So we're going to be talking about the natural collagen production and so much more. So we hope that you'll join us here. And we would love to invite you to follow us on our different pages. We have an Instagram page for the Million Mom Movement, as well as a Facebook page. We'd love to invite you to follow us there, like us there. And then we also have Million Mom Movement Official that you can join the group. That is where we are going to share all those links that we shared about today, as well as where we share all kinds of other information. We want to invite you to be a part of that community. So share your stories in there, share what's happening, share your recipes. Let's have fun. Let's create a really fun community space in there. So it is part of your community. So I want to hear from you in that group. You can share your posts into that group. If you shared a really wonderful story or recipe, share them into that group so the rest of us can see what you're doing. And lastly, if you'd like to be featured on our Instagram and Facebook page, please use our hashtag Million Mom Movement, hashtag I am the Million Mom Movement, or if you're having a community event, you can use the hashtag We Are the Million Mom Movement. And so we're just so grateful to have you all on here week after week. We love and appreciate your support, and we look forward to seeing you all here again next week. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I could unmute everyone, but I was having technical difficulties with that last week. Let me stop the recording.